Hey there, Steve Gamache with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we have this time is the Kohetsu wa, or Japanese handled HAP40 Gyuto 210mm knife. So the construction on this is 3 layers. There is a softer stainless cladding on either side of that hardcore cutting edge steel. And the cutting edge steel is HAP40 semi-stainless. It kind of got the moniker, I think Mark coined it around the Chef Knives to Go circles, that they called it voodoo steel, because it just does not, it just retains the edge almost forever. Sorry, I'm trying to talk today. But the edge just does not quit on these things, and it just has an eerie amount of edge retention. So yet it's not awful to sharpen like some steels with very, very good edge retention. So with decent stones, you can sharpen this up no problem. It is a semi-stainless steel, so it will gain some patina, unlike a full stainless steel. But it's just a really awesome steel. It's very hard, so you've got to be a little bit careful with technique because of chipping. But if you do your part, this steel will do its part for you. So if you need lots of edge retention, this is an awesome steel, especially in a pro environment. The cladding, again, is stainless on either side of that hardcore steel, and you can kind of see that edge demarcation right there. In practice, these knives, typically the quote stainless cladding will sometimes patina a little bit, so it can kind of act a little bit semi-stainless as well. So don't be surprised if you get a little bit of light staining or patina on the cladding as well as the core steel. It's just kind of whatever material they're using for the cladding does kind of sometimes exhibit those symptoms depending on what you're cutting. The weight and dimension should be pretty similar from knife to knife. They're putting some different handles on these days, so as handles change, that weight will change, but the knives themselves, the blades typically are pretty similar. The weight on this particular one is 157 grams, or 5.5 ounces. This handle is a little heavier than the Howood handles. The edge length is about 212, or about 8.3 inches, and the overall length is about 14.2 inches. Spine thickness, these are pretty thin knives just overall, so that'll vary a little bit from knife to knife. This I got about 2 millimeters at the back on the spine thickness and about 1.8 halfway down. And then they have a nice taper overall till you get to the tip, so they get pretty thin at the tip. These wa-handled knives, the Japanese handled knives, tend to be ground thinner, and they're just thinner blades overall with a little bit better performance than the Western handled counterpart. So take 2 identical knives, one with Western, one with the wa Japanese handle, and the Japanese handles again are ground typically a little thinner. The blades are slightly thinner. They're a little thinner at the tip, a little thinner at the edge. So kind of depends what you're looking for. If you want a little bit more robust package, you could use the Western style. If you want a little bit more performance, you could use the wa handled style. So here's what the cutting edge looks like from the choil shot. The height on these are about 46 millimeters-ish. I got about 46.3 on this one. And you've got the neck's kind of medium wide, so there's still plenty of room here for a pinch grip. Handles are, this is a batch where they're putting these newer handles on. So this particular run of handles is very well done. It's an octagonal, ambidextrous. It's all Pack-A-Wood, which is a stabilized wood product. And so they've got gray for the main handle, and then the black or kind of charcoal color for the ferrule. And these have all been very smooth right here. They're really well made. They've got real nice finish work on the corners of the butt end here, and also the ferrule end here at the front. So these handles are, the quality to me is almost semi-custom. It's just really very nicely done. You can just feel how good they are. And they've got a good tight glue-up joint there, so nothing should get in there for you. Now, these handles are a little bit longer and they're a little bit heavier because of the material than the Howood. So that's going to bring the balance point back. So that balance point right here is just about where that back of the blade is, the choil here, and that's where we're at. So for a pinch grip, it's going to have a little bit more of a handle-heavy feel. Racket grip, kind of more of a neutral feel. But these blades, for the thinness, they're actually pretty stiff towards the back half of the blade and a little bit of flex in the front. Let's get our beauty shot. This particular knife has, and these usually do, they've got a nice cladding line. Let's see if I can kind of catch that without getting too much. That's pretty good right there. Let me move that down. Got our logo. It's going to go in the corner. But that's a cool cladding line, isn't it? So it's got a lot of little nice waves to it right here. And these typically will have that. You can kind of see the vertical sanding marks here. And then there's some embossed kanji on the right side of the blade. And then here's the left side of the blade. Again, as you'd be holding it, using it. So every knife's going to be a little different with a variety of different kind of patterns here on the cladding demarcation line. They've done a really nice job on fit and finish, so they've polished a little bit of the spine and cut off a little bit of the corners here to kind of relieve those a bit. And they've done the same thing for the choil, so it's quite comfortable. These have nice edges out of the box, and so this is, I'll give it a full 6 or 7 out of 10. The way they grind these, they always on the right side of the blade, you'll notice kind of a larger polished area that's quite polished towards the edge, and what they're doing is thinning that out for performance towards the edge. The left side of the blades typically don't have that, and you'll just see it go down to the actual edge bevel. So you'll get what you might think is kind of an extended edge bevel on the right side of the blade, but it's really more of a thinning process where they put it on a wheel and thin it down and polish it. Let's see, what else? Cutting board, that's where we're at. This is a really high quality line of knives. You get a lot for the money. Again, if in a pro environment, if you need a lot of edge retention, these are king. They are great. And you can choose between Western and WA, as I already mentioned, depending on kind of the performance level you want. But these are a killer set of knives. And of course, they'll work awesome in a home kitchen with some judicious technique because they're very, very hard steel. But this is what our cutting edge profile looks like. And so not super flat. I've got kind of a rolls into the heel at the back, and then a fairly kind of medium aggressive belly, so I can get right in there towards the tip. So I still get a fair amount of kind of medium to low rocking on these. But that's your cutting edge profile. So just a nice package with a really interesting and super cool steel. And there we go. So this is the Kohetsu HAP40 Gyuto 210mm knife with the Pakawood handle.